Lore Together is proud to be part of the Boss Rush Games network. Feel free to find out more at bossrushgames.com/network. Hi, I'm Safi.
I'm Mystic.
And this is Lore Together. This is the podcast where husband and wife team talk about all the characters, storytelling, and world building in video games because it's what we like to do together. We lore together.
Nailed it that time. Awesome.
Yeah!
That was take 2. That's why I'm laughing.
Just wasn't in the right headspace for a moment there, but now I'm back, guys.
This is episode 42.
Hooray.
And I think I'm going to lose my nerd card because I'm not doing a Hitchhiker's Guide reference this time.
Oh.
And I could have done the incredibly difficult text-based adventure game and watch you play a text-based adventure game, which would be great streaming, believe me.
There are people who are watching that out there, I'm sure.
I want to see you do a text-based adventure like Zork or something.
I'd be happy to try it out. I may be a whiny, mopey Safi the whole time when I do it, but I'd be willing to try it out.
You're going to be a whiny, mopey Safi during this next episode anyway, because we're covering your favorite thing. But before we get into that, if you'd like to contact us, you can do that on Twitter at LoreTogether, on Instagram at LoreTogether, through email at LoreTogether@gmail.com. And if you'd like to support this podcast, you can do so by going to patreon.com/LoreTogether, where you can pay a per episode pledge to get early access to episodes, mini episodes, Q&As, and other things we may be doing in the future. So, boilerplate pitch done. We are doing your favorite thing in the world. First person jumping.
I hate you so much right now. I want to divorce you so bad. So bad.
I vividly remember you playing Left 4 Dead one time in a user-made level, and it was like a very simple jumping of like jumping from suspended.
You call it simple. You call it simple. But that's like telling a man with no fingers to color in the lines. Like, that's just not fair. It's just not, I don't have that skill set. I'm never going to have that skill set. It is something I've been deprived of for my life, and I just don't appreciate you mocking my inability to be able to platform.
I'm not purely mocking your ability, but it is funny.
Oh, man.
So let's see. I have told you first person jumping. Does that even get you close to what we could be talking about?
I think we are talking about, what is that called? Was Mirror's Edge the one with the parkour?
Good guess. We are doing Mirror's Edge.
Heck yeah. Now, I will say that I admired the parkour idea when it came out, because with a lot of video game world, a lot of what you're doing is super duper violent. And what Mirror's Edge was doing was kind of like a conflict-based game, but the whole point was to outrun your opponent.
Not in the first one.
Well, not outrun, but it was kind of like not be seen, not be caught.
Well, in the first one, there was unavoidable gunplay.
Oh, and parts of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was a little weird. We will not be talking about the first one, actually.
Oh,
the first one
okay.
came out in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
2016, DICE and EA release Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which is a reboot.
Oh, interesting.
And there are some things that are the same. Obviously, oppressive government and everything, you know, this idea of oppressive governments.
And the idea of people having to carry messages and information.
That's the same. There are wildly different changes. Because the reboot, which there has been another one since, maybe they're working on it. I mean, there's 8 years between the last two.
Yeah, that's true.
But because Mirror's Edge Catalyst is the reboot, so therefore the official story now.
Right.
And it changed so much, we're just going to cover that one. But there are differences between the two, and they're both good games.
Now, random question. Also, another thing I liked about Mirror's Edge is that it had an Asian American protagonist in the first one, which even as somebody who's not Asian American, I was like, that's pretty cool. First of all, woman,
I don't know if I'd say Asian American because it's all in a made up
universe anyway. So like, I guess, East Asian presenting individual.
Yeah.
I guess is a better way. I don't know, guys. This
She
is
is
like super hard to
Faith
navigate.
is also mixed race.
Okay.
Her mother is Asian. Her father, I believe, is Caucasian, potentially Irish, because her last name is Connors.
Oh, okay.
So,
that's fair.
anyway, the game takes place in the dystopian, futuristic city of Glass. Glass is the name of the city.
And we're just gonna throw around people in it instead of rocks? Is that what we're doing?
This is the showcase city of the nation of Cascadia.
Wait, it's your showcase city and you don't call it diamond, you call it glass. just there's so many bad jokes I could make right now with this situation.
It's funny you say that. Guess what the capital is called? This isn't the capital. The capital is Cascadia Prime.
Get out of my house. What is this? You guys know me and names. Like, naming conventions are just, they kind of set the stage for a person's understanding of your world. And just to have something so blasé.
Right.
I don't know. I'll let you describe the setting and maybe it'll make more sense. But if they don't lean into how hardcore milk toast that is.
Spoiler warning for everyone listening. If you don't know about Mirror's Edge, we're going to get political here.
Wait, what is it? You had your dance
Getting
right.
political.
Getting political.
Getting political.
Getting
There's no way
political.
around it. Cascadia is governed by a totalitarian corporatocracy.
Hey, I run a game about corporatocracy that we've talked about briefly from here and there. But yeah, corporatocracies, they're a thing that possibly in our not too distant future, which is why you should get out there and vote if you don't want that to happen.
So we're going to actually hit 2 official prequel data sources.
Oh.
And then we're going to cover the game briefly. The game is not the largest part of this. The history that leads up to the game is the largest part of this episode.
So this is kind of be more like our Halo series history one where the game is the base understanding, but we're not talking about the game itself.
We will. We will go through the game story, but it's a shorter synopsis.
Oh, okay.
And that's because the story is a reason to go point A to point B. You know, it's not, you don't unveil the story through your actions. It's just finish this mission, story cutscene, finish this mission, story cutscene.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Cascadian society is highly stratified, of course.
It always is.
Majority of citizens work for the corporations and are connected to the grid, a massive social surveillance system digitally connecting everything and everyone in cities like Glass. And the official history starts off kind of vague. We have no year or time frame. It's just future. No idea how far in the future. No idea if it's Earth. Probably is.
Not even a scroll down the screen like in
No.
Star Wars. Long time.
It is a corporatocracy, and it's kind of funny. The few years that we do see on monitors or in documentation and stuff reference fiscal year.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So we have no year, we have no time frame. We don't know what came before this beginning of the history. So we know at some point there was a regression.
Okay.
Out of the regression rose Omnistat.
Which is
Let's continue, and I will explain as we go.
okay.
Inspired by tales of ancient utopias and classless societies where every citizen had equal value and production was owned and shared by all, Omnistat quickly swallowed up the majority of isolated settlements and surviving cities. So this is after some
Big upheaval.
economic apocalypse or something.
Okay.
You know, the system completely crashes. This is what comes back.
An Earth-wide pandemic, if you will.
Sure.
Yeah.
We don't know.
No idea.
If anybody does know, contact us. We gave you our information before.
At Lore Together. Yeah.
So they took over these isolated settlements, surviving cities, sometimes peacefully, sometimes not. And even within Omnistat, some people didn't buy into this whole way of living.
No, it's true for every society. Not everybody's into it.
And this, in turn, caused strife and paranoia within Omnistat itself, as the rulers were forced to accept that not everybody was ready to blindly embrace their vaunted ideas of the perfect state. Did I mention we're going to get political?
blindly embrace. So this sounds like the kind of communism that regressive politicians think
Right.
it exists out there. This is kind of
I mean, it does exist out there,
there.
but it's not the
There's always a sliding
Right.
scale of good to bad with any political system,
Right.
And I think when I hear people say you just want a little bit of each one, I think the idea is essentially saying like
you want the best of each one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because within humanity, the idea that there will be a perfect system for all humans is a lie, and I think to believe that that is a goal you must strive for is to believe in totalitarianism, which is not good for the majority of citizens in that system.
Right.
Period.
And
So,
even then, for every single thing about you that you would consider, quote, normal,
right.
and all the other people who share that thing with you and are normal, every single one of those people has something that is not normal to you.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Omnistat reacted with increasing control to the point that all citizens were surveyed by the authorities and by each other at all times.
Oh, Gestapo state.
Yeah. Omnistat soon became a merciless tyranny perpetuated by the party and its ruling elite in their fervent struggle to centralize and control everything and everyone.
Yeah, again, so we're basically demonizing communism again, which, I mean, fair. If
Right.
you've only seen the versions of communism that we get to learn about in our history books,
Right.
you're going to demonize it.
The problem with any political system is the people.
The people in power.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
specific, the people in power and the pursuit of power.
Yeah.
But I prefer, it's not that power corrupts, it's that power reveals. Mm-hmm. So.
And we're going to get into people grabbing at power. One of the ancient clans, the Kruger family, accepted Omnistat rule but made sure to secure important positions within the party as it grew.
Yeah. Pursuit of power. Here it's
However,
coming.
they never truly accepted the party line and the philosophy it was founded on, and as the decades passed, they began plotting drastic change, believing that for civilization to truly move forward, a radically different society had to be formed, one based on free enterprise and individual achievement.
Is a man not entitled to the sweat on his brow?
Yeah, okay, so the thing that I was kind of getting while I was, first off, this is like on EA's website, this is the official history.
Yeah.
And EA is a giant corporation, so it's really weird to read from a giant corporation this breakdown of all the worst of each economic system that people use currently.
Well, I think it's very easy for a corporation to say, "Oh yeah, that's what evil corporations do. We would never do anything like that." And then suddenly, you've got something like Cyberpunk 2077, which just totally blows that idea out of the water. And you're like, how did we get to this point? No.
Always wary of betrayal, the Krugers still managed to gather a few other powerful families to their cause. Some were prominent party members, and others held important industrial positions. This also reads, it's like V for Vendetta. It's, this is...
solidifying and the small group of power, because it's you gotta have a small insular group with the power
It's
to
basically
protect your own interests when you're
Right.
going to be at the top.
Yeah,
It's a pyramid.
the haves, the have-not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Decades of frustration eventually reach a breaking point, and Omnistat is then torn apart in a bitter civil war.
Oh, of course.
The fighting lasted for years, and the leading families were forced to acknowledge that theirs was not the only vision of an ideal society. There were others who also saw these turbulent times as an opportunity to set up their own societies, and when the dust eventually settled, 3 nations formed from the ashes of what was once the most powerful civilization on the planet. As the war ended, a peace conference was called, attended by the leaders of the 3 main factions that had formed during the war. It was agreed that Omnistat would be split into 3. The largest part would still be Omnistat and remain under party rule.
Okay.
The second largest was to become Cascadia, shaped by the family supporting the initial Kruger uprising. Finally, there was Sabaeus, a secretive and secluded nation founded on a strict religious faith and ruled by clerics.
So we're just going to reveal the evil in all 3 of these systems and pretend that everything right now is equally just as bad? Is that what we're going to do? I mean, in this fictional world, they might all 3 be just all equally as bad.
I mean, this
And-
isn't as bad as, say, when we dive into the world of Deus Ex, where all the conspiracy theories that people believe in this world are real.
Right. I don't know. I would like to think that there's a way for a nation to at least get by in a peaceful way without it, without everything being evil all the time. I'll be honest, I'll just personally put it out there. I think it has less to do with the system you use and more to do with the culture within the system.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I think, at least currently, we have a culture that's based on power lording over some sort of domain, sometimes including people. And I think we need to shift that culture. That's my big, 10
Yes.
generations from now, I would like for my descendants to live in something different. So when we say everything is evil and wrong, no system will ever work. It's like, well, yeah, you got to look at it. You can't just look at it from the one direction. That's my issue.
That's
with that.
true. And, of course, all those changes take...
Generations.
Yeah. They are not fast, and a lot of people want them to be fast.
Right.
So, continuing on, a fragile and tentative ceasefire was agreed upon, and the borders were drawn up. Tensions remain high to this day, and many claims and counterclaims were never properly satisfied.
Okay, so
Few believe in a lasting peace.
Okay, so record scratch. What if this had been the setting for Papers, Please?
The original vision for Cascadia was a nation founded on democratic principles where individuality and initiative were to be encouraged and rewarded. So far, so good.
Yeah.
However, Cascadia's founding was off to a flawed start as the families involved in the uprising had less altruistic intentions.
Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? No, says the man in Washington. It belongs
Right.
to the government.
The democratic principles were only vaguely converted into actual law, and the nation grew on an insecure foundation as the system favored those who had already secured vast assets during the chaotic war.
Mm-hmm.
Voting rights were curtailed from the outset, and with several of the old families not ready to share their accumulated power, the first steps down the road toward tyranny had already been taken.
Yeah, as soon as you start curtailing voting, you essentially longer have anything resembling even a democratic republic.
Yeah.
So, which, P.S., guys, be on the lookout at your local legislators around the world, by the way. I'm not even going to talk about just our country. Voting rights for everybody. Everybody. All right. I'm going to get off this soapbox
It's
right
kind
now.
of funny that we used to talk about voting in ancient times, actual republic.
Right.
Representative republic would have everybody vote.
Yeah.
You vote.
Right.
Like, everybody counts. And the problem now is we have the ability to have everybody counted,
Yeah.
but our systems have not kept up.
Or we've kept them
Or we've
easily
intentionally-
malleable
Yeah.
for the people in power who will able to benefit from that. Voting rights for everyone.
A deep fear and hatred of Omnistat and the party drove a nationwide initiative to eradicate the old and rebuild anew. Statues were built, honoring values such as freedom and initiative, as well as the original 12, the heads of the families that had supported the Kruger uprising. Within a decade, those same families controlled almost 80% of the, quote, free market.
Of course.
And their dominance kept growing. Oligarchies between them formed and fell apart, and all while the Cascadian Assembly struggled to create laws that would limit corporate control. But with most assemblymen belonging to one of the families, those laws were toothless.
Of course. The hidden dynasties within a democracy.
Right. The families became known as the corporate houses, and their opulence and wealth knew no bounds. Cascadian society eventually stratified into three distinct castes. The low caste, eking out a meager existence in the Grey Lands. The mid caste, trapped in an eternal rat race in the growing cities. And the high caste, enjoying a detached existence at the top of the pyramid.
And we do mean detached, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
What?
there's no way you make that much money and you exist on the same human understanding level as the people
Right.
who work below you. It just doesn't work that way.
And it gets to the point, like, there's an oft misquoted game screenshot. You've seen this recently, where it says if the penalty for a crime is a fine,
Yeah.
that it's only a crime for the poor.
Yeah.
And literally, I've heard of people who will park in handicapped spaces when they're rich because it's closer to the door, and it's like, no, it's a $300 parking space,
That just makes me sick.
right?
It makes me sick.
It should be a percentage of your daily income. That would be good.
A percentage of your daily income. Oh man,
that'd be
can
good.
you imagine how much then we'd have to pay tax accountants so that people would be able to pay only $300 to break that law? Then, because you like that's just the thing. You would have to redo the tax code. Oh, Mystic, you're breaking my head. Just okay. Let's get. There's a lot.
It's not unheard of, though. I forget which country it is, but there is a country, I believe it's a Scandinavian country, where your speeding fine is a percentage of your pay.
Well, I believe it, but there's also countries where you don't have to file. Okay, if you're not from the United States, let me blow your mind right now. In the United States, we have to file taxes to prove to the government that we gave them enough money.
And of course, they know how much.
And they know how much that we took.
Yeah.
They just will not be bothered to hire the people or resources necessary to do it for us.
It's actually a meme. I've seen it. It's like, you have to pay us money. Okay, how much I owe you? Well, you have to figure that out. Okay, I owe you $0. No, we know how much you owe us. Then why don't you tell me?
It is unnecessary and has a whole industry surrounding justifying its existence, and I probably should hope that it sticks around more because I have family members employed because of this system. Like, this is just, it's just so archaic, built to be that way. It's just ridiculous. We could easily just have a bunch of number crunchers checking everybody's pay stubs, and then at the end of the year be like, this is a bill. Do you need to do a 12-month payment plan? Like, that's it. That's it.
Especially now when you have everything computerized.
Yes.
Like,
you wouldn't even need to have. Okay. All right.
Anyway, we could go on this forever.
There's going to be so many soapboxes I'm hopping to. Like, I'm just going to be upset through half of this freaking episode. I'm sorry.
So the conglomerate was born when the 12 major corporate houses joined together with the intent of mutually shaping the future of Cascadia.
Barf. Basically, we now have an official oligarchical monopoly. Like, this is just so bad.
Their internal rivalry remained to some extent, though, and it was decided that only 9 would sit on the conglomerate board at any one time, depending on their respective market shares. This was intended to still foster some competition between them and make sure they didn't stagnate completely.
But that's... No.
It's still limited to those 12. Like,
No, that's exactly what monopolistic competition is. It's kind of like...
This system isn't designed to stop that.
There's a great NPR, like This American Life had a great episode about a guy who was revealing monopolistic competition amongst a few big companies and how stressful it was for him to be playing all the sides and then also... To be somebody who was able to do that, he was also like playing with tax fraud on top of it. And he was so stressed out. He was mowing his lawn in the middle of the night. Anyway, yeah. Like, it's just, you know, just the idea of work. I think it makes me think of that in the sense of the idea of having to work against what's already established in the system when you're already comfortable. Like, that's a stress that people don't want to burden themselves with.
Anyway, the formation of the conglomerate did not go unopposed. For years, the discontent had grown among the general populace to the point that open protests were held against the worsening work environments, declining social conditions, and rapidly increasing corporate encroachment on the elected government.
So, how many of them said eat the rich?
The issue was debated for months on end in the Cascadian Assembly, but only toothless statements ever came out of those discussions. As the conglomerate grew in power, tensions grew with it, and different protest movements came and went until one of them, based on pacifist ideals, took root and spread quickly. It found its strongest supporters in Glass, where it had also been founded, and on a cold November day, 100,000 demonstrators marched on Zephyr Station. There they gathered to listen to speeches and protester songs, but something went terribly wrong, and some protesters began acting violently. Shots were fired, and within moments, the peaceful gathering had turned into a rioting stampede. For 3 days, the riots raged unabated, and Glass burned.
Okay, so I like the phrase that the riot is the language of the unheard, and specifically unheard, like intentionally not ever listened to. So who knows how many decades these people have been suffering in this essentially class struggle, and they have an opportunity to be heard. They already see that people are going to try to shut it down, and there's just a trauma response and riots.
But at the same time, not to put too fine of a point on it, but is it the people who are oppressed, or is it somebody co-opting their message to cause problems?
It could be either. It really could be either. Mm-hmm. We've seen, especially that latter example happen last summer in particular. There's definitely like a lot of pointing that out.
In the end, the riots were culled, and those responsible who still lived were rounded up. The original leaders were found brutally executed, and the deed was blamed on the same separatist hardliners who supposedly started the riots to begin with.
Supposedly started the riots, yeah.
The conglomerate saw its chance to grow stronger and made sure to point to the weak assembly and their ineptness in handling the situation. The measures taken by the elected assembly to rectify the situation proved to be too little, too late, and when the conglomerate declared the assembly unfit to rule the nation, few opposed the move. The conglomerate came to rule Cascadia, and glass became a symbol of conglomerate greatness. The refurbishing of the entire city was accelerated, and immense resources spent on making glass a pristine bastion of conglomerate power, trumped only by Cascadia Prime, the capital, where the conglomerate board resides.
Yay!
Now we get into our second bit of prequel and data, which is from a comic.
I like how you call it prequel data, and it's really just we're going to the next story in the history.
Yeah. Faith Connors was 7 years old on the day the November riot started and barely got away alive, saved by Noah Kike, a friend of her parents, both of whom died that day.
Whoa.
He trained her to be a runner. Runners are freelance messengers skilled at parkour. They do not connect to the grid, they live on rooftops, and make their living from covert delivery jobs while evading corporate security.
So that essentially is the same premise as the original.
Yes. On one of these jobs, she runs afoul of some henchmen of the crime boss, Dogen. Losing a fight with them, she is then brought before Dogen. He has a particular drawing that they both talk about, and it turns out to be by her mother, Erica Connors, whom Dogen called one of the most brilliant scientists of their age.
Oh.
And it's actually a pretty cool drawing. It's a geometric pattern. I believe you see it as a tattoo in one of the games. He tries to bring Faith on to do some jobs, but she refuses. Tries to steal the drawing, but doesn't get away with it.
No.
She gets away, but isn't able to get the drawing.
Right, yeah.
She meets another runner, Celeste, who is from another team. Basically, there's teams of, they each have territory.
Well, that makes sense.
You have small territory to...
And it's it's a small web where, nobody knows everybody, but you just have small connections through a web or a pyramid of sorts.
Yeah. They race, and Celeste beats Faith, barely. Faith eventually relents and goes to take the job from Dogen. It's a simple job, no problems, and Dogen says that if Faith does a few jobs for him, she can have the drawing. This is kind of her last connection she can have.
Well, you lose your parents at 7, it's traumatizing, and then you're raised by somebody who also admires them, so...
Yeah. The next job Dogen would have Faith do involved stealing a prototype vaccine from Raposa Medical. But when Faith reaches the vaccine, it's already gone.
Uh-oh.
After setting an alarm off, Faith ran out, escaping the building and outrunning Krugersack guards. One guard managed to stop her and fought her on the roof. After dodging one of his blows, the guard slipped and fell off the roof, falling to his death.
Oh. That's not pacifism?
Well, it's not like she actively killed him.
No.
He slipped. Dogen, upset that Faith neither retrieved the vaccine nor set the lab on fire as she was supposed to, decided to end his relationship with Faith, retracting his offer for her to earn her mother's drawing. Faith returned home to find Celeste hanging out with the other runners. Celeste then challenged Faith to another race, along with a fellow runner of Faith's, Caleb. During the race, Caleb slipped up and almost fell to his death, but Celeste turned back and saved him, while Faith ignored him in order to win.
Oh.
This angered Noah, saying that if this was the way she acted, then maybe she wasn't she doesn't belong in his cabal, his group.
Right.
Faith would end up getting back in with Dogen, trying to get him the vaccine. She put out feelers, seeing if she could figure out who the other runner was. Before she finds out, though, she meets up with Celeste a third time, and this time they have to work together to solve a small problem. Basically, a mutual friend of theirs is like, hey, here's a challenge for you guys, and they have to work together to do it.
Oh, interesting.
And as a result of this, a friendship starts to form, which is strained when it's discovered that Celeste is the one who stole the vaccine, needing it to cure her sister's melanoma.
Oh, well, I mean, you can't be mad. I wouldn't. It's one of. For me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm upset, but I get it.
Right.
I literally had a conversation like this at work earlier today. Just like, I could convince you of what the hardline party thing is, but I think you know that already, so just pretend I said that to you.
Yeah, this left Faith with a difficult decision. Break the runner code, steal the vaccine from Celeste, and be ostracized by the runners, or betray Dogen, have her ankles broken, probably, and her mother's drawing burned.
Oof.
Deciding her mother's drawing was too important,
Okay.
she attempted to steal the vaccine from Celeste. After running from Celeste and eventually fighting her, Krugersack guards interrupted them, attempting to find and detain a reported runner in the area.
Oh, no.
While the guards closed in on Celeste's position, Faith became overridden with guilt and decided to save Celeste and return the vaccine to her. With Celeste saved and the vaccine returned, Faith stayed behind to face the remaining guards to hold them off while Celeste made her escape. Taking down as many as she could, Faith was eventually subdued and put in juvenile detention for 2 years.
Wow.
Now we get to the game proper.
Okay, so we've got this backstory, and Faith seems to have an issue with connecting with friends in a very solid, like, she feels guilt, but she doesn't have, like, solid connections of loyalty.
Right.
And there's a lot of more understandable selfish desire, but selfish desire.
Faith is released from juvie and meets up with fellow runner Icarus, as well as Noah again. During a data grab inside the headquarters of the Elysium building, I love it, it's like immediately like back to breaking laws.
We don't have time to waste. We need to do crimes.
Faith diverges from her orders and retrieves a valuable hard drive, but is seen by Gabriel Kruger, CEO of Kruger Security.
The CEO of Kruger Security basically just
Kruger
no.
Security is also known as KSEC. I wanted to point that out because as I was trying to hide this from you, I kept titling it different things in my documents folder.
Oh, really?
And one of them was the other ME from EA. Because in Mass Effect you have CSEC, and I was like, this has KSEC, and it just...
Yeah, it's almost the same thing.
She manages to escape, intending to use the drive's contents to pay off her debt to Dogen. Noah is angry at Faith for involving herself with Kruger, fair, but
yeah.
tells her that she needs to know what is inside the drive in order to bargain with it.
That is 100% correct.
Faith takes the drive to Plastic, a talented hacker who tells her the drive contains blueprints for a top-secret project known as Reflection.
Okay, plastic. Is it spelled like the actual word, or is it spelled
It's
with
spelled like the actual word.
I was hoping it was spelled...
With
like,
a K?
No, plastic with a Q-U-E.
Plastique?
Plastique. Hello, my name is Plastique. I'm here to bend the will of any information system you need.
Meanwhile, KSEC cracks down hard on runners because of Faith's actions at Elysium.
Yikes.
Oh, we have an Elysium, too. That didn't occur to me before.
Oh my gosh, it is the other ME.
While Icarus and Faith are away, KSEC leads a raid on the runner's lair and to capture or kill everyone present. Faith and Icarus, having nowhere to go, turn to Rebecca Thane, leader of Black November.
There's a Thane as well?
Leader of Black November, a militant resistance movement bent on destroying the conglomerate by force.
Okay.
The rebels set up an ambush to capture a high-ranking KSEC commander who they intend to trade for their own captured soldiers.
Whose nickname is Archangel, right? Right? That's what you're telling me?
The mission is a success, and it turns out that the captured officer is Isabel Kruger, daughter and personal bodyguard of Gabriel Kruger.
Interesting. Wait, his daughter's his personal bodyguard? I don't know if I'd want my child to be my personal bodyguard. Like,
Yeah, but when you're at that level of being rich, you don't really have family. You have assets.
Yeah, gross. I never want to be that rich. You're absolutely right.
Faith asks Plastic to infiltrate KSEC servers to gather information about Isabel, who turns out to be Caitlin Kat Connors, Faith's own sister, who was assumed dead just like her parents.
Wait, whoa, wait, roll back. Now you didn't mention the sister until now, Mystic. So I'm.
This is one of those things that, okay, I didn't, because she was assumed dead.
So.
And to Caitlin Connors, Faith was assumed dead.
Oh, okay.
So this was all during the.
But in the previous comic backstory one that the story we went through, was that also touched upon?
I have not actually read the comic. I did a synopsis.
Okay.
I don't do comics myself personally. Kate was in the original game, but there she's just a cop working for KSEC.
Okay.
So, she's just a beat cop.
Okay.
And, yeah, it's different.
Weird. Okay. It's kind of weird.
Gabriel Kruger took Caitlin Connor in as his adopted daughter, telling her that Faith was killed along with the rest of her family.
Okay.
Faith races back to the subterranean Black November HQ, where Thane is preparing to execute Isabel in order to send her father a message.
Whoa.
Even though Isabel doesn't seem to remember who Faith is, Faith convinces Thane to save her. There's kind of this weird thing where Isabel, a.k.a. Caitlin, it's traumatic to be losing someone like that, so her brain kind of dismissed all that as just a dream, or Faith wasn't real, or...
I never had that family. That,
right.
That was never really true. Okay.
Which, if you're 6, 7, makes sense. The brain will do what it has to.
Wait, how old was...
I do not remember. They're around the same age, though. So they might only be twins, actually. I don't know.
I really hope not. But it's still even a year or so apart. Yeah, that's a pretty malleable brain age.
Isabel lets on to Faith that Noah might still be alive, held in a compound called Kingdom. Upon reaching it, Faith rescues...
Wait. That was so dumb, my brain didn't even want to process it. A compound called Kingdom? A compound called Kingdom.
It's a code name or whatever. Somebody in corporate thought it was cool, so they just did it.
This just feels like...
You just hate the name thing.
I bought this great katana over at the anime convention, and I'm going to name it Blaze, said some random 14-year-old in a trench coat and trilby. Okay.
Oh, another thing. Again, when you're at this level of rich, nobody can tell your ideas are stupid, so you're permanently stunted.
Yeah, again, another reason to not be the... It's so funny because for some reason, my phone keeps suggesting these articles. Look at this wisdom from Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett. I'm like, they're too rich to be relevant to my world. It's not anything useful.
So anyway, Faith heads off towards Kingdom, and upon reaching it, Faith rescues a group of reflection scientists who were detained by KSEC for, quote, asking too many questions.
Wait a second. I just want to say this. So Faith infiltrates the Kingdom to bring knowledge to the... Okay. It's feeling a little allegorical with the way that they're doing these names, guys.
I should mention now that the writer for the first game and the writer for the second game are totally different.
I'd believe it. I mean, it's been 8 years. I'd believe it.
The lead scientist, Alain Mayera, explains that reflection involves injecting the population with nanites that can be remote controlled to regulate thoughts and emotions. Alain also mentions that Faith's own mother, Erica, invented the algorithm that would later allow reflection to be realized. Faith finds Noah, who is being experimented on with a prototype of these nanites, but it's too late to prevent his death. Meanwhile...
Wait.
I was waiting for you to wait.
Whoa. We suddenly have
it's in the vaccines.
We suddenly have this plot is literally like Star Trek Discovery Season 2? What? What is going on? Oh my god.
Discovery made more sense than this plot.
It absolutely did. So we have nanotechnology that makes you essentially a corporate zombie.
Yeah. Which, fair.
Yeah.
That's not too hard to believe.
No. It's not too hard to believe. So sorry, I just find myself.
I did just throw a bunch of stuff at you, so I was waiting for you to go.
I'm
Wait.
like, okay, so then it's kind of like, oh yeah, your mom was brilliant. Look at the evil thing she's allowed us to do.
But
Yay!
there's the level of brilliant. Like, she was brilliant, and her work led to this, but she was opposed to the system itself.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, the more educated you get,
So-
the more likely these pesky little either pesky ethics get in the way, or you believe yourself to be a god.
Right. Well, there's a reason that the people in power generally usually don't want to listen to people who are smarter than them, because then that's just cracking into their worldview of I am awesome because I'm rich. You know.
Yeah, the false idea that capitalism is a meritocracy.
No.
Right. It's not, guys.
We getting political.
Getting political. We're just like shimmying the getting political dance. The build up to how we got to this ridiculousness basically says, well, everything's going to fail anyway, so why care?
The general point of Mirror's Edge, plot-wise, usually seems to be curtailing of civil rights is never a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, like,
the problem is that both games start after that point has been crossed.
Right.
It may not have been crossed completely, but it has been crossed.
Exactly. Yeah, it's hard to make a game captivating when you're, I don't know, you could probably make a game captivating when you're on the precipice of making that choice. I mean, Fable kind of did that. Not necessarily civil rights.
I haven't actually played Fable, so I've never played or seen anything Fable.
Okay. We're gonna have to change that.
You can do that one then.
I'm not necessarily civil rights, but there's definitely the way that it engages with the idea of choices in governance, specifically in a feudal system. But
meanwhile, back at Black November HQ, the rebels are ambushed by Kasek while moving Isabel above ground. Icarus and the rebels are injected with reflection nanites.
Oh no!
Here's a line I didn't quite know what to do with. Actually, this one I couldn't watch a Let's Play. And I haven't played Catalyst yet. I just bought Catalyst recently. But here's a line I couldn't figure out what it actually means and if this is a thing that's been happening a lot or not. Faith continues to have flashbacks of Gabriel Kruger killing her parents who wanted out of the Reflection Project. I don't know if she saw this in a video. I don't know if she saw this in person.
Or if it's a genuine memory that had been repressed and is now suddenly coming to the forefront. That's where I would lean to if I didn't, but I don't have any.
I wanted to look this up. It was bothering me. I wasn't able to find the information before we started recording because we started recording.
Right.
I ran out of time.
Ran out of time. We have this little buddy in the background who is he's not we anymore, and therefore he has so many demands, guys.
Yeah. He's also very fast now.
Gosh, he's moving. He's moving.
So if anyone knows that information, or, I'm going to play this game. Safi's going to play this game. That'll be fun to watch. And
for who is the question?
I don't know. Try to make it interesting, though, so our viewers can like it.
Oh, man, don't worry. The witty retorts will be coming, and it'll all be at my expense. As
Faith and Kat were escaping, a gas grenade was tossed, causing Kat to choke and lose consciousness. Faith was forced to abandon her.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
Plastic and Elaine, I don't know how to say that name, work together to engineer a virus to disable Reflection once and for all.
So, wait, but I thought Align was like, Reflection is cool.
No.
Oh.
She was one of the ones who was asking too many questions.
Oh, okay. You threw so many, so many nouns at me. So many nouns. It's just too much.
In order to do this, they need Gabriel Kruger's ID, which Faith secures by breaking into his private apartment. From there, she witnesses a massive explosion at The Shard, the tallest building in all of glass. Faith still needs to get...
Wait, Okay. It's the tallest building, and it's called The Shard?
Yeah.
Tallest building in glass. It's called The Shard.
Mm-hmm. That's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad.
It just reminds me of the SNL skit. The coolest club in New York City is called The Shard. Like, it just feels like it's trying. Oh, guys. Bill Hader does this great, underground club review. But it's always something really absurd. I'll show it to you later, Mystic. It's fantastic. I hope somebody out there knows what I'm talking about. It's just, I think, and the joke is they're trying too hard, and Bill Hader would half the time be cracking up laughing about what he said because it's just so absurd.
Faith still needs to go on top of the shard, which contains the broadcast antenna, but is now unstable to activate this virus. Like, she has to get up there to propagate this virus. At the top, she is confronted by Gabriel, who defends his decision to launch Reflection, saying the nanites are a cure designed to keep Isabel's chronic lung condition at bay. Everything has to have a personal tie. Like, people are doing... Yeah.
Like, that just... Also, why is he also at the top of the tower? I mean...
Also, why do you need wide-reaching control over people to keep a lung condition at bay? Like, that sounds like you could just have a portable emitter on her or something.
Right. Also, practical reason, if you're a CEO and you're used to delegating, you probably would also be used to the idea of maybe you could get the nanotech to become murder bots. Like, just have them become murder bots. Or just, I don't know, have paid somebody other than your daughter to be part of your security.
You're really upset by that still.
Fictional CEOs make the most crazy decisions when it comes to video game villainy. It makes less sense than shooting into space and then talking about, oh, but I donated $100,000 to something, so don't look at my billions that don't get taxed. It makes less sense than that.
The problem is, it's easy to come up with evil plans for an evil corporation, evil person, evil government to do.
Yeah.
It is hard to come up with a way to justify that will then make them seem a little bit less evil. I don't know if Gabriel actually thinks he's doing the right or not. He may just use that as a reason to why this is necessary. Everyone else is expendable. It is my daughter, even though it's not his daughter.
Well, also, he could just be a liar.
It's true.
And it's probably the more plausible idea than the gymnastics, the mental gymnastics we have to go through for it to make sense that that's how he cured the Isabel/Cat lung situation. Yeah. Like, what is that?
Anyway, he goes on, the project is about survival rather than control, which is hard to justify, but...
Survival of what? If it's survival of your way of life, then maybe I could understand that from like a, I have only known this way. But no, you made it survival of this random character who is your adopted but you didn't take in the other daughter? Like, what? Just...
He may not have had the option. They could have not been in the same area, you know? They could have been separated at the time.
He the boss of the person he's trying to kill in a freaking...
That's fair. I'm talking back when they...
In a totalitarian corporatocracy.
Fair. Okay.
I mean, it just... I'm just...
This was all going so well until you got to personal motivations of the bad guy.
If he had said, this is the only way to save the way of living in glass, instead of, this is the only way to save my daughter, I would have had less to say at this point of the episode right now.
They're doing the whole thing like the vaccine with Celeste, you know.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it, you know, give it a human element to it. Anyway, they are joined by Isabel, Cat, who attempts to stop the virus herself, but is too late.
Oh.
They fight on the helipad, and Isabel accuses Faith of leaving her behind to die, while Faith attempts to remind Isabel of who she really is.
Wow.
Gabriel Kruger appears in a helicopter and begs a hesitating Isabel to come with him. The shard starts to crumble beneath them, and Gabriel flies out of the tumbling helicopter. Faith slides to the edge of the helipad and is caught by Isabel. Gabriel is heard calling out for his daughter to save him, and Isabel explains to Faith that she, quote, has to, and runs off in his direction. However, as the helicopter rises again and flies away, only Isabel is standing in it, and Gabriel is nowhere to be seen.
Oh, nice. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, splat.
In the aftermath, it is reported in the news that Isabel will now supersede her missing father as Kruger Security CEO.
Ah.
While there is no uprising in the population, Faith did successfully disable the Reflection launch, thus keeping people safe from direct...
Wait,
from direct control. No, just assuming
direct control. Dagnabbit! Dagnabbit! This is the other Emmy! No!
Now, here's the thing. This game is already a hard sell to a lot of people
Yes.
in terms of gameplay. And I think that they kind of wanted their cake and eat. They wanted to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, yeah.
Where they had gunplay in the first one. There's no gunplay in this one.
I think that's a cool idea.
But I think that also dissuaded people. And I think 8 years between was also a problem.
Yeah.
But the biggest problem was doing a reboot for your second game.
Yeah, they should have just they could have done a sequel. There was enough of a fan following there.
Now, I initially was going to do the first game
Oh, okay.
as my episode. But about a month ago, when I started working on Alpha Protocol,
Yeah.
I also tried to run Mirror's Edge, and it wouldn't. It does not run on my computer. I
Oh,
tried going through
no.
all the different fixes that people have. I just couldn't get it to run. And then I was like, well, wasn't there another one that came out? That'll, at least I can do the sequel. And then it's like, oh no, it's a reboot. Okay.
All right. Well, it's a reboot. Well, maybe someday we'll figure out what's going on with your computer, or figure out another.
Oh no,
way
it's
to
just
play
that it's old. It
Oh.
was that one was
Oh, okay.
2008, and
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and I don't think that's on GOG yet. So
Oh,
and
yeah. So it hasn't been updated. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is given me a lot to talk about, and a lot of us to get political, getting political.
And I have an idea of what the next episode's going to be, but I'm not going to tell you yet.
Of course, you're not going to tell me. Can it now be a platformer? Oh no, guys, I'm doomed.
No, it's not a platformer.
You were looking super pensive there, like, did I mess this
No,
up?
I wasn't planning on doing a platformer. It'll be definitely slower paced.
Okay, all right.
And then after that one, we may dip our toes into an MMO, which will be fun.
all right, I'm gonna trust you.
I mean, there's only one MMO I'm going to dip my toes into.
I have yeah.
So
Yeah, I have a feeling. Okay, so
we get to watch you
oh guys, I'm so bad at platformers.
and first person games. Not as bad. Like you're not
No, the
as
first
bad, but like combine the two.
Platforming is the part that really takes the cake with it, because I can do first person to a certain extent,
Yeah.
but I cannot do I'm just so
Now we're going to toss parkour into it too.
our YouTube channel is where we do these live streams. So if you want to see me fail miserably through the training levels of Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Oh, we're doing training levels? We're just going to toss you into the story.
Well, I know, but I mean like the beginning.
Oh, okay.
The beginning part of it where you're supposed to be learning and getting the skills, and the game's like, yeah, you're great, right? And like, no, I'm not great. I'm not good at all. Just I will never be saved.
It'll click for you, maybe.
Hopefully for all our sakes. But feel free to come by and watch me just be angry at a screen figuring out different Shakespearean insults.
I will say there is a slight chance of you being more motion sick with this one compared to other games.
It's a risk I'm willing to take.
Okay. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. But until next episode, thank you for listening.
Thank you. We appreciate you. And we look forward to loring with you
In the future.
in the future.
Bye.